So guys, we're going to be training lateral flexion of the spine here. Like with the torso rotation, we're utilising 2 lines of force, so that we're actually creating a single axis in that spine for lateral flexion. Full credit for this movement goes to Michael Goulden of Integra. He actually showed me this. Phenomenal movement. In terms of, you know, being very versatile, a lot of people are going to be able to set this up with their cables. It's not an easy one to train lateral flexion well, especially with cables. And you know, by utilising 2 lines of force, we know we're actually creating a challenge for that. One of the drawbacks of this, we are also challenging the depression of the scapula. This arm is essentially trying to be pulled like this, so you know, Ryan's having to work hard, which isn't a bad thing. People don't train those muscles enough, so it's just another challenge. We pulled that line of force, you know, the cable close to that shoulder by positioning the cable under Ryan's arm. So it's going to be very minimal to his shoulder itself. If this was positioned outside of his shoulder, there would be more of a challenge to the guys inside. Like, we still got a challenge to that sternoclavicular joint, so the actual scapulas, the guys around the scapula, are still going to be having to work hard. But the main challenge is to those lateral flexors. So we've got this line of force trying to essentially tip Ryan that way. This one again also trying to tip him that way. So they're both achieving the same end. So Ryan can either do this simply as an isometric, where he's just thinking about holding it there, depressing through his scapula. He's going to maintain a neutral position with his hands here and his humerus. If he was to position his arms in the external rotation or internal rotation, he's in quite an extreme range for that joint there. So by putting him neutral, we know that that's safe both sides. And again, so what he's thinking about is creating a lot of tension in these lateral flexors here, whilst depressing that shoulder. If we were to get Ryan to actually move through lateral flexion, again, this is after assessing his range, we know what's safe for him. He's got to be mindful of that shoulder, so he's not going to let those guys elevate. But he's just going to slowly come down into a safe range so he's lengthening these guys to their more or less fully lengthened position. And then from there, he's contracting and thinking about driving this shoulder down towards that hip and shortening everything in here fully and completely under control. And then he's going to move back. And again, he's being stable through his hips, so the guys around his hips are engaged, you know, switched on well, so it's creating stability around those joints, so that all the force being produced by the guys above the hip in the form of the lateral flexors and somewhat the spinal flexors themselves, given that most of them function as spinal flexors as well, is very, we're going to increase output in those guys by creating more stability in the hips. So again, and he's just being aware of his range, not moving too far. We've adjusted the setup so that he's not really going to move too far anyway. And he's just fully under control and able to shorten those guys completely. And if we were going to train his other side, all we'd have to do is just swap the cable position. So we'd drop this cable down, drop that cable up, and then we'd be able to replicate the challenge on the other side as well.